Well, it's that time again. It's time for the 16K service. Got the manual out. Got it opened up. Got all the tools out. Got my new belt. New set of OEM rollers. And then the O-rings and the seals for the variator and the driven pulley. I'm going to pull it apart and grease the inside of the driven pulley. It's hard to believe I got $250 worth of material here. We'll also be using my variator tool, which I tried without the handle on the 12K service. I made, I have a pattern I sent to Lester down in Oakland, and he made one, and his works with a little bit shorter length, and he didn't have to, he didn't bend it, but then he'd already used a impact wrench to get the nut off the first time. I have no idea if that's going to be a thing. So, and I got a couple 8mm bolts for the driven pulley, belt removal. So I'm going to, you've seen enough of these things on the other things. I will just go into highlights. The one thing that I want to do, very first thing, is I've taken off the panels. I want to do a quick panel pull to get to the radiator cap. Remember, there was having overheating problems, and he had some low water because the cap was loose. So I'm going to get into that first thing, and I'm going to only remove those panels and pins and screws in order to get in to check it. And then we'll see along the way as to what I've got to do on that. So go ahead and get ready, kick back, get your snacks and your beer and whatever, and we'll start this 16K service in high definition. I'm not going to show it on the back, but you've sat on these things and you know it long enough. We're going to take the star wrench here, I guess it's a torque of some sort, and pull off the T-Max plate. Okay, we've got the plate and its 4 screws, and we're now at there. And like I've said before, keep plastic bags around to keep the parts in, so you know that that goes with that. Okay, in behind here are two Phillips head screws. I should probably reset up on the other side, but these things here are invaluable. For grabbing little, come out of there. There you go. Set that aside. Okay, I got one more tool to get. Okay, I've got to get out because of a couple rides gone wrong. I had to change over to a different kind of push pin in here. I had 2 of these I got for at my local hardware store for I think they're auto body pieces. And then you got the one that hasn't been destroyed up here. And it's just a normal push pin. Okay. These are the ones you want to be careful of because they're really, the first few times you pull them off, they're just a little nightmare to get loose. Oh, come on. There we go. Mine, I've fixed this panel. This is System 3 Gel Magic, and that's the second time I've had to redo the the latches on this thing from Scratches. Okay, here we've got our pressure cap, but right now the crowling up front here is hiding it, but you can take it all the way off and then look down inside, and it's going to be between, there's 2 marks, and it's going to be about in here, and it's going to be just below the little input pipe, so I'm good. But remember, when you put it back on, here's that position that he found it in. It's loose, there's not pressure, so it'll boil over time. You got to make certain that you turn all the way clockwise, otherwise it's just wiggling around like this in the halfway position. So snug that baby down. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and pull the rest of the panels off, and then we'll come back unless I find something interesting. And I decided, what the hell, we're in HD. I haven't done this and the lighting's a lot better. Let me swing the light around. Okay, you got one of these hex head screws. There's one down in here, and there's one up here, and there's 3 along here. And there's 2 of these rascals back here. You see, yeah. And there's another one down here on the bottom. And there's a, let's see, I don't know. Okay, there's a pop pin that connects the back of the front crowling here to this panel, and this got to come out. Come on, push it. There we go. And this is one of those special ones you want to keep your eye on. It's a little shorter and fatter. And the one on the other side is that same way too, so you want to be aware of where these things are. Okay, come on. Oh, we got another pop pin here. Now what do? Holds this lower thing into the crowling. There we go. Okay. Now this whole thing slides out, and yeah, you're gonna have to take this. This is, you'll know this one's different because it's one of those hex head screws, but it has a step in it. If you see it. It's got this shoulder right there. And that holds these guys. And then these 2 here are stuck in each other. They got these little holes that one's got to go inside the other. And I'll show you that later. So, okay, we got all these panels off, and I want to put them in a bag, and here's your water reserve tank. And I'm getting down to where I should add it. I'll probably put a little bit in this service, and at the 20,000, it'll be getting close to the 3-year time limit for flushing the whole system out. So I'll do that whenever that happens, or next spring, whichever comes second. Might as well do the banana one. I already got 1 screw out. And you got the 3 screws, 2 in the front. The 3rd one's back here where you gotta fold the pylon seat down. And then come on. Oh, I keep forgetting there's a plug, 2 plugs back in here. You can see these projections sticking up. Okay. In here you've got your standard 10mm nuts. And I think there's just the 3 of them. two down here. These are the ones that mainly hold the down here hold this heavy piece of plastic to the two metal bars that come out from the aluminum frame. And this one was loose for some reason. I may have forgotten to tighten it down. And there's four of them. There's one right up here. And it does the same thing. It holds the heavy part of the forward foot place, or foot placement, to one of the big cross beams that goes back in here, which also holds one of the relays. I can't remember which one that one is. And I seem to have misplaced my screwdriver. For some reason, internally they use Phillips screwdrivers, or heads, and then externally they use the hex headed. Same screw, they're interchangeable. And you got, oops, that's an exposed. These really help. These little speed tees. Okay. And I've got to pull out the two inside here before this one will come off. So this panel here, the one that goes underneath the key panel and goes down to the fuel tank, this has got to be the hardest thing in the world to get off, and it comes off a lot easier because a couple of the tabs have broken off, so it's much easier. It still stays on nice and tight, but it's a hell of a lot easier to get off now. I'm gonna bag those screws. And we'll get back to this panel again. You got this one more screw up here on the top that you got to take. Those two panels I just showed you, you got to take them out in order to get to this screw, which is underneath of it. And then it comes apart, and there's a pin here, which I've had to epoxy back on from this one. It's gel magic. It works on this stuff. Okay, got that down, and we'll go, this can stay loose, just to make it a little easier to get around stuff. Now I'm going to go over the other side and pull all these panels down here, and then the crowling will come off, and then we'll get back into it again. But you don't need to see me on the other side. It's the same as this. On the crowling here, you've got, on each side, you've got one bolt is in the front and one little push pin that goes into a plate on the bottom of the radiator. Here we go. And you almost have to use your screwdriver. It's just right in front of the little tank here. And I didn't push that in far enough. There we go. And okay, and that just drops out. It hasn't taken me that long to get all this off. You know, if I wasn't been yammering away and just working on it, and I didn't have to go looking for plastic bags, and I spent some time sweeping up the floor, so I didn't get dirty, and it didn't look bad on the video. But I'd say 40 minutes, I wouldn't even say that much, probably half an hour to pull the panels off to get down to this to do the service. So once you get through that first time, there really isn't that much to it. The secret is just keep the screws for each panel in a bag separate from the other ones. Put that bag attach it through stick it through a hole, or tape it, or wire it to it, or something that makes it go a lot easier. And then you're not scratching your heads like, where does that go, or where's the extra bolt for this thing go? Especially in some of these little push pins have different links and barrel sizes, which you have to keep in. So let me decide what I'm going to do and show on the next part before we... This is basically what you're looking for. We'll get to this later. Well, I thought I would go ahead, and this can sometimes be a real pain in the ass if you don't have the right size. It's a Japanese have like a JICS or GIC or something like that. I just use a number 3 Phillips. Seems to fit tight enough. The first time I had to take one of these off, I didn't think I was going to get it off. But luckily I had already ruined 2 of them on the other side getting the variator air filter off. So I knew I had to use my impact tool to remove these screws. And since they're going into an aluminum housing, these are the ones that I always make certain that I've got a little bit of anti-seize on the thread. Okay. I haven't gotten any, there's dust and dirt and everything. My tube is down here is dry, so I'm not getting any leakage past the seal. There's 3 seals in here. One outside next to the wheel to keep water and road dust out. There's a center one to keep the oil inside the silent chain, and then there's another one over here to keep the other side of the shaft oil inside this part right here. One over here, one there, and then there's one out here again, like I said, for keeping the water and dust and stuff out, which protects that seal in the middle from nasty stuff. Okay, I'm going to go. I mean, you've seen me. You've seen me do the oil and stuff on all these other ones, so I'm going to go ahead and drain the oil and fill them back up, and then do all the other services. Go look at the 4, 8, and 12 service. I mean, pretty much everything's in there for checking, you know, the brakes and the brake pads and steering head and all that kind of stuff. I'm going to go ahead and do this off camera. There's no use in wasting time on that. So come back when we get into the variator, unless something else comes up that's interesting. One of the things I try to do too is when I'm draining the silent chain oil out of that the back axle part there, I'll stick my magnet as the oil's coming out, just so that I can see if there's any gobbers coming in, you know, if there's any magnetic filings, and there's nothing, so it's clean. And I'm going to bring the oil over and we'll take a look at it. I'm really surprised. It's, I mean, it's almost looks brand new. You can see how clear that oil is. The bottom of the pan is, I've had this oil pan for about 30 years, but the oil is really clear. And if there's any debris in there, it came from the pan. Something else I do too is on my the 80 weight can, I just cut the top off, and the silent chain takes 0.7 liters, and so there's a nice 7 liter, you know, a 700 millimeter mark on this, so I just tape it off and I fill it up to that, so then I know that's correct. And then for the engine, I've got my spare Rotella can now, and I marked it off at 3 quarts, and this one was almost empty. It had about a quart left from the last time, so I've opened up my new can and poured it into that mark, so now I know that I've got 3 quarts. And if you look at the service manual, one is like without a filter, it's 2.96 in width. It's like 3.07. I mean, there's so small a difference between them. 3 quarts that I put in is always about 3/4 of the way up the sight glass, so it's below the maximum. So it's easy. Just don't even forget about it. Filter change or no filter change, 3 quarts. But the system holds 3 3¾ quarts. So if you change oil from brand to brand, you always remember you're going to have 3/4 of a quart of the old stuff in there until the next change, especially if you go from dyno oil over to synthetics.